Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you very much, Kevin, for the wonderful introduction. This evening, I wanted to bring to you a pretty robust update on everything that we're doing and how we're collaborating so quickly and closely in the city of Temecula. So I'll start off a little bit talking about the crisis as we all know it to be in both the state as well as region. And then I'm going to turn it over to Brian Ambrose, who will talk to you a little bit about sort of how I drug him into the Regional Homeless Alliance and how we've really worked collaboratively with our neighboring cities. Then we have Social Work Action Group that will give us an update both regionally as well as our city update. Then we'll turn it over back to me, and we'll talk with our school district representative who deals with the foster youth and homeless students. And then Community Mission of Hope, Project Touch. Then we'll bring the police up so they can talk about some of their stats. We are bringing the burglary suppression team up to show you a couple slides now on how we really work closely with them, and then we'll finish off with moving forward. So this is probably no surprise to any of you, and this is based on the 2019 point in time count because, as you well know, we just completed the 2021, and I'd like to thank those of you who were able to attend that day. I think it's important that you see what we're experiencing in our streets. So we're excited to see what the numbers are. Hopefully they're better. The good thing that we can say is that we know for certain that in Riverside County, you can see, sadly, the numbers continue to rise, but in Temecula, they continue to go down. So we are really excited and thrilled by that. I cannot give you the official number for this year yet. The data is being scrubbed, but I can assure you that it did decrease once again. This slide is simply for perspective. I go to a lot of community meetings. I show the community a lot of pictures, and we're not diminishing our challenge here in Temecula, but I want to put it in perspective. With that, as you well know, many of our individuals experiencing homelessness, mental health is a huge component to that. And this is based on NAMI. And we really suspect that that number is much higher. What we can say is that these are the individuals that have been documented mentally ill. So if they have not been through an intake process or through the system, they may not be documented yet. So. And 2 million people with mental illness are jailed each year due to the lack of mental health institutions. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Brian Ambrose, who will talk briefly about our regional approach.
I will try to be brief. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I just want to take a real quick minute to tell you where we were 4 years ago, a little story that illustrates just how fragmented the homeless services were in our cities. 4 years ago, I was sitting in the city manager at the time, Rick Dudley's office in Murrieta, and we had just received the county report of the point in time count. And in 2016, Murrieta showed it had 0 homeless. And we were literally slapping ourselves on the back saying, we know exactly what we're doing. We were going down the list and we found Temecula and said, whoa, look at these poor saps. They have no clue what they're doing. That was Friday afternoon, about 3 o'clock. On Saturday at about 10 o'clock in the morning, I got my first email from our fire department. There was a brush fire. I'm looking at the address saying, well, that's weird. It's in a retention basin next to Calvary Church, just to the east of the I-15. About an hour later, the church was being threatened. And then later that afternoon, the fire captain sent an email out saying it was a homeless gentleman. He spent a few days cooked up on meth, decided he wanted to have some dinner, and probably fell asleep. And his makeshift grill fell down and caught fire, and then he took off. So Monday morning, I'm back in our city manager's office where we look at each other and said, well, I guess we had one homeless in Murrieta. We must have missed him. And so the city manager tasked me with finding out, well, how did we miss that one person? Find out exactly what happened. Suffice it to say, our way of counting back in 2016 was not comprehensive, to say the least. About the same exact time, I got a phone call from Robin Gilliland inviting me to a meeting in Temecula. She asked somebody from City of Murrieta to come down so we could start talking about this homeless issue. I came down, I drew the short straw basically, and I became the homeless expert for a city of Murrieta. We discussed the silos and also the squeezing of the balloon aspect. Murrieta, with our police department, we'd go into Murrieta Creek and tell everyone, you got to get out of there. We'd enforce. Squeeze the balloon, everyone came down to the south side of the border. Then your sheriff's office came up and your police officers pushed them back to our room. Nothing was being done. Nothing at all was being done at that time. And so we came up with a plan to take this regionally. We were kind of audacious at that time and said, let's go to city councils and see what we can do regionally. With the support of City Manager Aaron Adams, we went to first to Menifee, then to Lake Elsinore, Wildemar, all 5 city councils. We brought a resolution, including the city of Temecula here, and all 5 of the city councils signed off on the resolution that homelessness will be viewed as a regional problem and not be handled in silos. I'm going to make a little fun here, but I can't get 5 city council members to say the sky is blue. The resolution passed unanimously through all the city councils. It shows how serious the city councils are, the city staff. Since that time, we hold quarterly meetings with all of our city staff. More importantly, even for cities of Temecula and Murrieta, our police departments have gone out on coordinated enforcement and outreach campaigns. We've come down to Temecula. Temecula officers have come up to Murrieta. We're working with the same clientele, and we're trying to get them beds. We're trying to get them services, and it's been wonderful to see the communication. We've also have our park rangers are talking, our city managers' offices are talking. We also filed for 2 grants in the past 2 years and received both of them. One was a WRCOG Beyond grant, which helped actually launch the Regional Homeless Alliance, which, by the way, is based on the responsible campaign from this, responsible compassion campaign from this city council. So the WRCOG Beyond grant started that, and then last year we were awarded a Kaiser Foundation grant, which has been instrumental to our success as well. Now it's time for us to start going after other grant funds and other ways to raise funding. Our biggest challenge at this point is beds. We have no CES covered HUD-funded beds in Southwest Riverside County. So when we're in encampment, we struggle. We need to find a funding formula. Hopefully in the future, we'll bring forward a funding strategy or at least a proposal that I think will get some money from each city for the beds, and we'll be happy to bring that forward to you in due time. With that, I'll turn it back to Ms. Gilliland.
Thank you, Brian. With that, I'd like to bring up Aaron Petroff from Social Work Action Group. And he will discuss both the regional collaboration as well as local.
Thank you, Robin. Hello, Mayor, City Council, City Leadership. I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to hear what we have to say. Homelessness is very important to, I think, all communities, and especially to us. My teammates here, Robel and David, we are each other and our team. It's a calling for us. You know, we all started in a different city government homeless services program, and I think there's something unique about homelessness, the street population. It seems like so many people automatically believe that they have the answer, they have the solution, and I think everybody in a way does. I mean, we can and should identify the brokenness of somebody who's sleeping on the street, somebody's shooting up heroin. It's not a desirable condition. It's not an easy decision to make. It's something that maybe that decision was made many years ago, the first time they used drugs, the first time they stepped into that realm. But if you ask a heroin addict today, you know, how can you get off the streets? What would your life be like? You know, with a magic wand, what would you do? And you would be surprised to hear the answer, or lack of answer. I mean, the brokenness that people on the streets are suffering from. So for us, again, it's a calling, and it's a blessing for us to work amongst these cities that have come together to say, you know, we are going to go after those people that are not asking for help, because that's really the key. You know, we hear philosophies from Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and I hear the same thing. People don't want it, or they have to want it. But you know what? We're dealing with people that are so broken, you know, they don't even feel worthy. And so we have to take a very proactive approach, and we have to take the services to them in a consistent fashion. And with our brothers and sisters in law enforcement, they are really the key component, in my opinion, because behavioral health and substance abuse treatment, they're there. The people on the streets know it exists, but again, they're so broken. They need a push, and we like to, well, I like to say we're like mom and they're like dad. You know, we're presenting, you know, we're the loving, caring, kind group, and here's a path to success. And then dad comes in, and dad's echoing the same thing, but dad has some power, dad has some force, and will help leverage that person who can't help themselves. And so, again, our push is always, these are human beings that are so broken, they need our help. We have to, as a society, make some decisions on their behalf and say, you know what, you are not making the right choice. You've foregone the ability to make that choice. And so it's a tough fight. We met with RUH, Riverside University Health Systems leadership last week to have that same point. You know, this is not, one of the directors made an analogy, it's like having cancer and you can't force somebody to take their cancer medication, but we said, no, that's not it. That's not this case at all. This is a person, these are people who have lost that cognitive ability to make a good decision. So here, our push with the cities is to leverage county resources who provide those services to keep pushing harder and harder. And so we definitely thank you for the opportunity to serve in this city. Well, I guess I'm supposed to talk about some numbers too. So since June 1st of last year, we've had 66 street exits, 66 people exit the streets of Temecula. About a quarter of those people have returned to the streets. And again, you know, every person is a success for us, but it's a continued effort. People, again, they've made a lifetime of bad decisions, bad choices, and so it's not an overnight fix. It takes a lot of love and concern, and when we have a team like we have here with the city officials and law enforcement who are all speaking the same language, who know these individuals by name, know their history, that's how we get to a success. And so we have to remain proactive in this community so we don't end up like Robin showed us with San Diego and Los Angeles and San Francisco. We're born and raised here in Riverside County. We want to stay here. We want to see our community flourish and get more people off the street. So thank you very much.
So I want to discuss really quickly from city side some of the current work we're doing at the moment. As you can see, we definitely rely on the relationships. I have found that the successes that we're having are all relationship based, and so as we move on, you'll continue to see, you know, how that all comes together. So Social Work Action Group, obviously, Project Touch, Community Mission of Hope, work very closely with the school district and the Regional Homeless Alliance cities. Hopefully you've seen yourselves some of our social media campaigns that we've done, all from when to call 911 and how to report appropriately has been a really big push. We have a presence at the Continuum of Care now, which hadn't been in the past, so I've been going there for about 3-4 years. And then I also sit on the Board of Governance. And so that's enabled us to, you know, tap into hopefully some future funding and just, again, building those relationships with those county entities. Obviously, we do the annual point-in-time count, and then we just met earlier about the Community Development Block Grant funds, and that has been critical to, I believe, our numbers decreasing as well, because we're doing a lot of prevention and diversion services with that. One of the highlights that we've been also utilizing pretty closely is our contract and agreement with Riverside County Flood Control. We are in the process right now of hopefully getting a 3-year agreement finalized, and what that allows us to do is enter their property, clean areas of debris, and they reimburse us for it. So it allows us to be more timely in keeping the public health and safety issues under control. I shared this quick story earlier today, but it's one of my favorites. Of the 80-year-old veteran was referred to me from SWAG, came to the help center. He was living in a hotel, quickly eating up all of his income. So we, SWAG was doing some case management, found a little cute casita on OfferUp. It was a Navy family. It was meant to be. He's literally there within 5 minutes. The homeowner, Navy vet, walked up and said, "Welcome to the family." So $600 a month, he's stabilized. But we were able to utilize the CDBG grant to give him that start. So I just love that story. Our why, community payoff, is, you know, family reunification, and we do a lot of family reunification, and we don't, again, send people off to nowhere land. We actually call people on the other end and say, are you willing to take them home? One of my favorite stories is a 20-year-old who showed up, bless his heart, dropped his drugs in the bushes as he walked into the help center. But he came in, tears in his eyes, said, I want to go home. Home was South Carolina. So we called his mom. Mom hadn't seen him in 5 years and said, please, can you bring my son home? We reunited him with his mother, and she has stayed in touch, and apparently he's doing quite well. So this is why this is so important. With that, I would love to bring up Mandy Rayfield from the school district, and she can discuss how we really work closely with her.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here. The Temecula Valley Unified School District takes great pride in the work that we're doing to service our homeless and foster youth. 5 years ago, we created the Centralized Enrollment Center, and this is where any new families that come into our district have to go to enroll, as opposed to going directly to the school site. Why, you ask? Various reasons, but one of the things that it allows is that we can find those families who are in need. I was given the honor of working specifically with the foster and homeless families to ensure that we enroll them immediately, and I conduct an empathy interview and create a trusting relationship with them. Not only do I ensure proper resources, such as backpacks, clothing, and transportation, but I also refer them to community resources throughout Temecula, and the Temecula Help Center is first on the list. The collaboration between the various agencies in our community in conjunction with our city has been remarkable for so many of our families experiencing homelessness. More importantly, we've been able to prevent families from becoming homeless. I got a call from one of our principals that one of our young students had lost her mother on Christmas Eve. Needless to say, the stress on this family was overwhelming. Mom had worked, and even though they were able to pay their bills, money was tight. Now, without her income, Dad could not make his monthly rent. The first call I made was to Robin, who walked this family through the paperwork to apply for assistance. I'm happy to say that Dad and child are healing from the loss of their loved one, but each month is a struggle as they live paycheck to paycheck, as many of our families do. He called me today, and he was in tears. He told me that he needed our help. He had paid all of his bills, but he had nothing left for the remainder of the month, and he simply wanted to feed his child. I can express to you how thrilled I was that he had called. He knew he could call me, he could tell me his needs, and I could assist in getting what he and his family needed. With the help from Ann at Project Touch, tonight he has food in his pantry, and by the end of the week, we will have him set up with the Community Mission of Hope with food long term. We will also be completing his application for assistance with his utility through Robin in order to help make him through the next month. His goal is to keep his child in our district, as that is the only stability that she desperately needs. We are doing everything we can to help him, and this is only one story. There are many just like this. The collaboration and support of all of these agencies is remarkable, and I'm so grateful for them and the peace of mind that they bring to so many of our families who are experiencing extreme hardships. Thank you again for allowing me to be here, and thank you for all that you do for Temecula. Together, we're making a difference every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. I love the stories. It just makes it all worthwhile. Next, I would love to bring up Megan from Community Mission Hope.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, City Council and Mr. Mayor, for having me here tonight. For those that don't know, we were established here in Temecula in 2009 as in a response to the Great Recession. There was a need, and we stepped up to fill that need. And so we've been doing so now for 10 plus years. We serve over 450 families every month, food through our food pantry, and we're happy to provide food as a resource to other nonprofits and other organizations in the area to help kind of be that bridge for people and to provide that resource. We also helped last year keep over 50 families in their homes, and we work on homeless prevention. So we were able to do that as well with the help of CDBG funds. And we also are, we serve everyone from chronic homeless. We have chronic homeless clients, as well as newly homeless family and children who have just recently been evicted and living in their cars, and we work hard to get them quickly out of their cars to those who are facing homelessness. And so food is a resource that we're excited to be able to provide. It helps offset finances, so that's one thing. And we also have just recently acquired 4 homes. And so now we have houses that we will be able to move families of low income into low income houses. So we're excited. We're so excited about our collaboration with Robin. We're excited to be here tonight to talk on that. We just want to say thank you to the City of Temecula. We love our partnership. The homeless outreach team, the HOT team, has been a huge resource for us. When we do see those chronic homeless that come through our doors and our case managers are working with them, sometimes we do need to call on the HOT team. Some of those, as have been previously mentioned, do struggle with mental illness, and so there is that safety measure. And so we're so thankful that the HOT team does come and they do help us out in those times so that we can keep our doors open to those clients, and we want to continue that relationship, but sometimes we do need just that support of those officers, and they do come through. We also, as I mentioned, are incredibly thankful for the CDBG funds that have helped us in preventing those clients from being faced on the streets. And we love our new partnership with SWAG, the SWAG team. They bring their clients in, and we're happy to provide food for them so that they can kind of build that relationship. Food is just a bridge. We all like food, we all do it. It's a communal thing. And so that's a beautiful resource that we're able to provide. And as recently, SWAG has helped us with one of our chronic homeless clients provide transportation and help reunify with a family member in another state. So we love this relationship. I work with nonprofits outside of these 5 cities that have been mentioned, and it's when I'm in those conversations over this same topic that I realize how absolutely wonderful that we have this partnership, because that is what is lacking in other cities whose homeless problem is growing. And so I just want to thank you tonight, and thank you, Robin, for having me.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've come a long way, as you can see, in the short 4 or 5 years since Aaron said, do this, Robin. So next, I'd love to bring up Anne from Project Touch. And I titled this, What is the Face of Homelessness on Purpose? And then the circle is because all of those agencies, in the story she's going to share, we all touched this individual.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for allowing us to come and share. And I've been working with you guys a long time. I'm thrilled of how much homelessness has really turned around, and we have so many awesome collaborative partners to work with. Project Touch, a lot of our history. Being very simple, if you are homeless, you are less a home. So not only do we think it is important to provide a bed where someone can stabilize quickly and bring services around, this next week, we'll be taking on 2 more apartments. Will bring us up to 200 beds between year-round emergency and transitional beds. Our clients are not just the ones that we're seeing that can be more challenging, where SWAG is expertise with the outreach, but the single mothers and children and senior citizens and disabled. We're really trying to be able to serve not just individuals facing homelessness, but we want to serve agencies that are helping those. So whether we get a call and work with SWAG where they need a bed temporarily to get someone in more intensive services, or the police are calling middle of the night, have domestic violence or something, or Robin's calling me or anyone, we always try to say yes. Whenever we can, we try to take the situation and be able to go to the next steps. And then we stay in partnership. SWAG has been awesome, sending us some people and then continuing to do co-case management. Same with Community Mission Hope. So we just love our partners. Did I forget anyone? Mandy is awesome too. I love her. So one of the really good examples of a partnership with the Temecula Diversion Funds, believe it or not, a senior citizen who was a business owner in Old Town Temecula for 3 years. She had some curveballs in life and found herself homeless. So we immediately took her into emergency, no questions asked. And then, I knew she'd be a prime candidate for the diversion fund. So she is stable, doing awesome back here in Temecula and thriving. The next one, Harith. I think I got multiple calls on this young man. He's my hero. He is a Temecula resident, 18 years old, who has custody of his 14-year-old brother and 15-year-old sister. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So between Robin with the Temecula Diversion Funds and Mandy at the school district, we took Harith and his brother and sister immediately for emergency motel stays, and then immediately got them into one of our Temecula transitional apartments so they would have a short distance to school. He works, he goes to school, and he's waiting for me to call him on FaceTime just to share with you. So he's on standby. So we're going to see if this will work, that he can talk to you. But this one, all us moms, he got our heart. So, Harith, there you are. Good evening. He couldn't come because he has the flu tonight, so I told him stay home. Harith, I'm going to just turn you this way to say hello to the mayor and city council quickly.
Hello, guys. Hi.
Okay, so Harith, you know what? Remind me, you've been with us almost a month or 2 months now?
2 months, yes.
Okay, and you're continuing to do well, going to school and holding down your job. We're all very proud of you. I was bragging about you. I hope you don't mind. So just between the collaboration with the school district, with the city of Temecula and Project Touch working together, just kind of tell us how you guys are doing now.
Compared to before, way, way better in my personal opinion. Before I even met Project Touch, I was personally spending around $2,000 on hotels just to put a roof over my sibling's head. And now with Project Touch, I finally have money to pay off my bills in time. I'm going to add interest to my credit card, which is what I was doing at first, just to support my family because I gained the responsibility all at once. So definitely with Project Touch, I have way more control of my life now. I've actually increased my units in school. I've been going regularly. I've been putting in less hours to remove the stress from me, most definitely. And Project Touch, honestly, I'm surprised that such an agency isn't a government agency because I even tried to go to the social services and they didn't really offer me much, although they knew I was homeless.
Okay, and Harith, just so you know, through the Robin and the city of Temecula, we were able to stop the gap so that he could get ahead and not have the stress of all the rent and try to help him with food and hygiene. But this is how we all work together, and it doesn't get any better than this. When you think of homelessness, it is definitely not just the people where a lot of people think of. This is every day, all day. Harith is our hero. We're so proud of you and your brother and sister. Okay, I'll let you get back to bed because I know you're sick. You say goodnight to everyone. There you go.
Bye.
Wonderful night.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Harith. Good night. So the face of homelessness has changed, and before Robin gives me my hook, I just say thank you for letting us share. We're here to serve. I love my partners. We have an awesome team here, so thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Wanted to share that with you just because what the citizens usually complain about is not that. And so we just want you to see the whole picture of we're helping all sectors of the population. With that, I would love to bring up Sergeant Menchaca.
Yeah, I'll bring everybody up. Mayor, council, city manager, and staff, I want to introduce you to the homeless outreach team, or the entire team. This is Deputy Abraham, Deputy Punzalan, Deputy Bowers, Deputy Valterra, and I also have Deputy Lesso and Gina, who are assigned to the County Behavioral Assessment Team. It's our new team that's assigned to us. We make one big team to respond out there and do outreach in the city. And we are pretty relentless and very busy, as you may know. Thank you for supporting us, always. And we feel it, and we go out and do our job and help everyone out in the city with the outreach and quality of life as well. One of our main goals out here, as you know, is to assist people to get off the street, provide them resources. We work hand in hand with Robin, who collaborate with SWAG and all the other groups that here did their presentation up here. You want to say something on your CBAT? I want CBAT to say something because this is a brand new team that we have, and just 1 minute.
I'm Deputy Lesso. We're the new addition to the POP team. We're the Community Behavioral Assessment Team, and basically we handle mental illness. This is my partner, who's a clinical therapist with a county, and she rides with me. We go out and we assess those individuals that have that need for mental health. If we can get them to a place of voluntary status, we can get them there, get them some help for their mental health, and if we need to, address the other issues that go along with that. So we're actually helping not only Temecula, but we're going out into Marietta and reaching out and helping them as well. We're hoping they get a team as well with their POP team, and we can address this issue of mental health.
Great.
Thank you, Deputy Lesso. So we collaborate well with the City of Marietta. As Brian Ambrose stated earlier, we go into the City of Marietta as they come down here and help us out because we know transients work, or not work, they go in between cities and down to San Diego or anywhere else. We also work with the Hammett Police Department, Menifee, Wildemar, and Lake Elsinore because we know our guys and girls are down there as well. With that, I want to bring up some of the stats that we've done and some of the stuff we've done in the last couple of years. There it is. So along with the outreach, one of the major things that we do is quality of life. We want to protect, number one, the citizens of Temecula when they go out, whether they're shopping at the parks or wherever they may be. So in 2018, at the beginning of the year, we did a lot of outreach, and we found that some of the individuals who are out there homeless, or are drug addicted, or have a mental disability, didn't want to accept the help. They just kind of were coming around and going in circles. So we started stepping up the enforcement because we saw the increased amount of crimes out in the city. So with that, our numbers for 2018 were in arrest were 475 people, or 475 arrests. And we continued that trend as of June all the way through December and continued through 2019. In 2019, we had 640 for a total of 1,115 for the last 2 years. We had, in 2018, 138 outreach calls. We also increased our outreach calls in 2019 to 230. So the 400 number that you see there is outreach attempts, meaning when our homeless outreach team went out and spoke to individuals out there, we spent at least 30 minutes with them or more in an attempt to get them off the streets. So we didn't count the 5-minute contact or the 30-second contact. Hey, how are you? Can we help you out or do whatever you need? That number would have exceeded well over 500. So with 30 minutes or more, out of those 400, 85 individuals were street exits. So basically went to a rehab center, were reconnected with family out of state or in state or wherever. And as Robin mentioned, the one in North Carolina. And also persons suffering from mental disability were also helped as well, whether they were placed, and now we have CBAT as well here, so it kind of increases our teeth, as you would say, to help them get off the street, and the enforcement. The other thing that we do by making so many contacts is we build a trust with the individual out there, where after 7 or 8 arrests, if it takes arrest because of violation of the law, then we gain trust with them. We know them on a face-to-face basis, and they know us, and then they reach out and call us and ask for assistance, and that's how we get the 85 street exits. So, anything else? All right, thank you. Thank you.
I keep hitting the wrong button. With that, I would like to invite Sergeant Hilton up just to briefly talk about how the burglary suppression team, which is a fairly new team to the station, correct, works very closely with homeless outreach.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Yes, we started the burglary suppression team about a year ago. Basically, what my team does is we take reports from patrol that need a little bit more expertise, or search warrants, or we're going to other cities to chase criminals that have done crimes here in Temecula. That's what we do, and we have a lot of resources, one of them being Sergeant Menchaca and his team, when we have search warrants, or just for information, because those guys are out walking the streets, talking to people, and they know a lot of the people that are out committing crimes that my team is looking for. So in that way, we work together. We also help patrol because we take some of the stress off them by responding to incidents that are in progress, or taking them over from them once everything's kind of settled down, because usually we're out and about. We're in Hammett, we're in Marietta, wherever it takes us, we have the ability to go there and chase these people down. And that's what we're finding. A lot of Temecula is a very target-rich environment. It's nice, people have nice things, and other people come here to steal them, and that's where we try to take those reports that, in our language, are suspended, basically, there's no further leads. We grab those cases and try to catch somebody or get somebody's property back. We've done a lot of operations where somebody finds their stolen stuff on like OfferUp or Craigslist, and we'll contact those people pretending to want to purchase those stolen items and arrest them when we meet up. So it's a pretty good team. I think we're doing good things for the city, and we appreciate your support, definitely. Thank you. These are just some of the property we've recovered and weapons we've seized in relation to thefts here in Temecula. The guns up top, that was actually a guy that was doing robberies here in Temecula, and we tracked him back to San Bernardino, and he had a stolen gun and an AR-15. The pictures below are actually people that were stealing a large amount of property or items from Target and Walmart. We found all that stuff on a search warrant we did in Hemet, where they had taken all, and then they were selling it out of their house. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you, Sergeant Hilton. So that sort of wraps up what's been happening. I think it shows we've been busy, making a lot of good movement. What I'd like to share just really quickly with you is moving forward, a few items that we've been working on. So with that, I'm going to ask Ashlyn, who is my amazing new staff member who helps me put all this stuff together. We have some things we'd like to hand to you first, so before we talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. I'm gonna wear this to school.
So the folder that you're receiving is the business toolkit. This is something that we've been sort of working on for a good amount of time. And I am excited to say that it is finally ready to roll out. We're going to be working collaboratively and closely with Emily at the Chamber. She was gracious enough to look through it and from a business perspective and look to make sure that we were sort of hitting all the features. So the folder that you just received will be basically the hard business toolkit. And if you open it, you'll also see there's a thumb drive in there. So all of the items that are located in this folder are also on this thumb drive. Located in here will be the items that the business can utilize, talking about our crime-free toolkit, what's in it, how the program is going to roll out, a cling for the front of their business to claim that they are a crime-free business. We're going to be working really closely with Sheriff's Department and their volunteers to walk through businesses with business owners and help them see different strategies on safety and how to address homeless individuals from both a preventative measure as well as who to call if they find someone who really needs help. There's just some other, help center brochures, things like that. One thing I'd like to point out is we just sent 4,000 of these to every business owner in Temecula. And what this is encouraging them to complete the 602 no trespass form, which allows our sheriff's deputies to make contact with individuals on their property. So we are now receiving some forms coming back, and these all went out to all the businesses. And our plan is to do this on an annual renewal so that we can stay on top of that. When you get time, this is the complete toolkit. Our plan, I think, with the Chamber is to roll this out in sort of a grand style. The next thing I'd like to share with you is the second sort of packet, and what we're calling it is the Homeless Outreach Strategic Model. So what this is really sort of what we've been doing, but we wanted to identify a way that we could share with individuals on how we sort of built what we're doing here and make it more logical. We want to define the problem, identify the root cause of homelessness. the individuals who are living on the streets is not there because they choose to. I don't believe that. There's something going on. Like, there's a root cause. Homelessness is the result of sometimes decisions. So then we want to talk about how we can implement measures and measure success, because I think that is critical. So when we look at the homeless strategic model, and I gave you the full list so you can sort of see it comprehensively. And then also, at some point, if you wanted, we put this nice big thing in here, because here's the meat of it when you look at that. This is where staff is working really diligently. But going back to the strategic model, so the first level is you and I. We live in a house. We have jobs. We have liquid assets. We have family support. But we're always at risk of making a poor decision, or not a poor decision. What if we lose our jobs? We're always at risk of falling down to that next level, which we call the identification stage. And we're becoming at risk because there's barriers. So as we're going down sort of the ladder, individuals are actively addressing one or more barriers or problems that they're having. And they can include addiction, mental health, mental illness, some sort of abuse, a downturn in the economy, or financial management. So if you're an individual and you're living in a home and you find yourself addicted to drugs, quickly, your priority isn't really going to work anymore. It's probably getting that next fix, or whatever your barrier might be. So then we're going down to the early intervention stage where, now it's becoming visible. These individuals, they can't make good decisions. So now they've rolled onto our streets. They're living in an RV, they're living in a car, they're living in a creek bed. And oftentimes they're resorting to criminal sources of income. We just heard from Burglary suppression team on how that is impacting our community. We say too, at the early intervention stage, it's sort of the sweet spot. If we can get somebody back out of homelessness in that first 30 days of them hitting the streets, their success rate skyrockets. So we're really working diligently to try to find new individuals. As you can tell, a lot of the conversation tonight was about prevention. I'm really big on sealing all those pipes. If we seal the pipes, they can't flow in, and that's where the prevention comes in. So intervention stage 2, these are the individuals that really cannot control their barriers. I call this swag's sweet spot. These are the individuals that they are awesome at helping get resources. These are the people that are really, sort of just been on the streets for many, many years. It could be 10, 15 years. And they are at risk of hitting rock bottom or dying on our streets. And of course, if they cannot make decisions or get the appropriate help, they will ultimately, sadly, end up dying. So as we move through this, the one thing that I wanted to explain a little bit more closely was from stage 1 to stage 4, when they're living on the streets, that can take years. It can take years to get there. So the individual, living in a house, doing fine, all of a sudden they have some sort of problem. They have family, they have friends, they have savings account. It could take, 10 years before they're down there. Also, homelessness is an optics issue. So we hear oftentimes throughout the state that housing is the #1 problem. Housing is definitely a problem in the state of California. We all know we need affordable housing. But with this population, they're not ready for a house. We have to find other avenues to sort of heal them before they're ready to be into housing. So I suspect that the optics side of it is what pushes a lot of the political agendas, because if you can't see them, they're not there. But they are. They're just in a house. So this was sort of our brainstorm of how we really want to look at it. When you look to the right side of the definitions, you'll see this is where we really want to take into account, the current city investment. That's what we're doing. The policies, we're very cautious before we bring you some silly ordinances. You know, we don't want to be handcuffed in the future with rules that maybe won't work. So you will see some that are coming forward in the next few months that we feel very strongly will help us sort of move to the next level. But again, we do take it very slowly, very focused, and return on taxpayer investment and just how we're going to make all this work together. And with that, I'm open for questions if you have any.
Well, an observation. I mean, thank you for what you do and the HOT team and just the community support with SWAG and Community Mission of Hope and the school district. I mean, that's really what makes this work. It, you know, the city invests in you, Robin, and you, the HOT team, and then the community comes around and fills in all the gaps.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what Project Touch does with the housing. And
Right.
so kudos.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Awesome. Any other? Yes. Comments or questions? It doesn't matter.
Well, just a couple observations as well. One of those is, you know, you noted between 18 and 19 some fairly significant increases in calls for service and so forth. And I think part of that, if in my estimation, is that there's an actual response, right? So I think our residents and businesses are recognizing that calling you all to respond to this has a positive and you know, immediate effect.
Yes, absolutely. And I think with our community education and with the rollout of the city's mobile app, we were able to offer alternative ways to report. So if it doesn't warrant a 911 or even a non-emergency, at least individuals felt that they were heard and they will, you know, can at least tell us what they're seeing and we're responding appropriately.
Yeah, and we need to definitely keep up that level of communication, doing an outstanding job. A couple of other things. One, you know, just looking at some of your statistics, I think we're telling the story, but it's a dramatic story. You know, the city of Temecula has seen a decrease in its homeless population, while the region and the state is seeing the opposite effect.
Correct.
Right? And just by my estimation alone, we're 86% lower than the state's per cap. I mean, that is a significant, you know, I mean, just those numbers just speak for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's come a long way, you know, since Robin, I got to give you all the credit, or at least a big chunk of this. I know you have a remarkable team, but I know you've put an incredible amount of time in all of this, and to be able to work with all these talented folks, to be able to have the resources, and again, going back to our, you know, mantra of public safety and Measure S from years ago, this wouldn't be possible without those funds. So I just want to highlight that again, the importance of what was able to done, because, you know, you look at the folks that you brought up here from all the different organizations, SWAG and City of Hope, and just everybody who came up here and spoke, without those types of resources, you know, go to any other city with our population, and I challenge you to find the amount of resources that are dedicated, you know, and that's what it's taking right now. And you're right. I think the messaging in Sacramento is all about affordable housing, and yet that is not the full message. Affordable housing does not solve, you know, mental and behavioral health issues.
Right.
And so, you know, so kudos. I mean, this is just, you know, a very detailed report. I appreciate it deeply. I think we need to work on some of the numbers and the messaging of that, because if we really dig into it, it's a remarkable story to tell. And one of the things I'd like to see happen here is that with our new state lobbyist and with our legislative platform, I'd like to see us, you know, bring these folks to Sacramento to speak to our legislatures, to tell them this is how it gets done. This is the case study for how it works. Because I can't think of many cities in California right now that are able to report out to their council what you did here tonight.
Thank you so
so
much.
I'd like to be able to make sure that we figure that out this year.
Thank you, Councilman Ron. And you nailed it on the head. It truly is a collaboration. It's not the Robin show at all. I could not do this without everybody. Down to, I have my intern lease that I've had for the last year. You know, we all have a fingerprint on all of this work, and I'm very thankful. Your forethought, City Manager Adams, 4 or 5 years ago, to let's just get ahead of this, and I think that's been really critical. But thank you.
Any other? Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Robin, for that presentation. And thank you to everyone out there that's like making a difference. You're genuinely making a difference in our community. You know, I spent the homeless point in time morning with you all, and I see the investment that we give, and you speak a lot to relationships building with in the community here, but speak a little bit about the relationships you build with people experiencing homelessness, because they all knew everyone, and just the stories they would tell. And I feel like there's a story there, the amount of time that we spent, and Sergeant Menchaca actually brought that up, the 30 minutes or so. But could you speak a little bit just briefly to those relationships?
Yeah, because it really is important, you know, because again, along with the Sheriff's Department, we really do have the balanced approach. I jokingly, with even the homeless individuals, tell them that I feel like I'm parenting teenagers, you know, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to love you, but I don't have to like you today. And so the one woman we found under the bridge at our first stop actually had been housed the night before. She was in a hotel. And SWAG is very aware of her. We are still working with her, but we know her name, we know her story. She's from New Jersey. She's been here for 13 years. You know, I know her you know, I know everything about her, and she was at the Help Center today. And so it's just that, you know, sort of bringing you know, they are human beings, and they're someone's family. And so we have to remember that. If they're breaking the law, you know, then absolutely, we have to do what we have to do to keep the rest of our community safe as well. And I do say that publicly. I've got about 50 homeless here, you know, give or take. I have 113,000 other people that should take their children to the park and not have to worry about things. So, you know, it is very much of a balance, but we love on them, but we also will discipline them when it's time. So, but yes, we do. We know them all by name pretty much. Yeah.
That morning was pretty impactful for me, and one of the things that I took away from that was the brokenness, and that was mentioned earlier. You know, you unzip a tent, and there's a recent graduate from one of our high schools, which was shocking to me. And you see, like, well, I just graduated from TVHS or SHAP or whatever, but the body language that they sat down, they were looking down, they're very broken, and we've got a lot of work to do, but clearly we are moving in the right direction with this team. And just a few years ago, this didn't exist. So it's just amazing what we've built, what you've built, and what you all continue to do and give to this community to better it. I'm extremely proud of the work that you all are doing. So thank you all again.
Thank you very much. You can tell we love it.
Yeah.
You know, people shake their head at us sometimes, but we do love what we do.
Yeah. One more thing really quick. Mr. City Manager, I think this would be appropriate for the TVUSD City Subcommittee that Councilmember Ron and I sit on. Maybe the next meeting we have, we could get maybe a mini version of this, or I love the collaboration with the school district and bring that forward. That would be great. Thank you.
We'd love to.
All right, anybody else?
I do.
Yes.
I just want you to know that I talk about this all the time to anyone who will listen, and people are very, very interested, and people notice that not only are they seeing fewer homeless people on the street, but they realize that they're being treated fairly and that we have a very balanced program. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that was, awesome.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple items. I just wanted to commend Robin and the entire team on the report that you just received. I mean, really, really proud. I know there's unfinished business, and we're going to keep our foot on the gas. But the other word that comes to mind when I look back over the last 5 to 6 years in terms of this socially complex, difficult situation that California is facing is dignity. And the manner in which we've approached this issue, both from the enforcement side and the education side, is with human beings, as Robin mentioned, but with incredible dignity. And the other thing that gets lost on a lot of folks is not the person that you're seeing in the creek or the person living out of their car, and you got a glimpse of it this evening, is what I would call the less visible family or individual that's on the brink of homeless. And the folks that are here tonight and the agencies that they represent, they are preventing a population from slipping into a whole other demographic. And we can't even really get our head around how many folks they're preventing by feeding them, by housing them, by getting mental health, without them becoming another statistic in our point-in-time count. So it's just something I had to say because it doesn't go unnoticed, and I felt obligated. I need to put that out there.